Madam Chair, we are now live.
Good evening and welcome to the Town of Ajax Accessibility Advisory Committee meeting for Wednesday, June the 15th, 2022. This meeting is being held electronically and live streamed on the internet. All staff and committee members are participating by phone or video. If we encounter any technical difficulties, we may take a brief recess while they are resolved. Thank you for your patience. We will now proceed with the meeting. Are there any conflicts of interest from committee members with any of the items to be discussed this evening? Seeing none, thank you. We need to adopt the minutes of the last meeting, May the 18th. So can we have the minutes adopted?
Heather Steves.
Moved by Heather.
To adopt.
Second by?
Roseanne speaking, I can second.
Oh, Roseanne, second by Roseanne, thank you. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. So this evening, we do have some very exciting presentations this evening. And moving right on, our first presentation, as I told you all, I know Lawrence Sunstrom-Mann. So status update on the new Grandview Kids facility in Ajax. And our presenter will be Lawrence Sunstrom-Mann, CEO, Grandview Children's Center. Lorraine.
Thank you so much, Madam Chair. And thank you to Sarah for the kind invitation. I'm just going to share my screen. Just do a quick check that you're seeing my slides okay. Lovely. Okay, thank you so much. It's my absolute pleasure tonight to provide a glimpse into the work underway to build the new Grandview Center in our headquarters, in fact, in the town of Ajax. And I'd like to start from a place of gratitude to the town of Ajax, because it was 2015 when the town of Ajax donated the parcel of land that in fact is making this dream possible for us. The partners that we're working with are listed on the slide, and we're very fortunate to be working with this group of organizations that have come together to make up Children's First Consortium. They will be building our long-awaited dream of a modern new facility for the children and families in Durham Region. And many of the images that I'm going to share with you tonight are courtesy of them. The project is an extension of a long and very successful history at Grandview. Grandview has very humble beginnings dating back to 1953, when a group of very motivated parents organized care for their children locally. By 1983, the demand for services had expanded to over 200 families, and the current headquarters at 600 Town Line in Oshawa was built with a service projection of someday imagining needing to be able to serve 400 kids. Last year, across our now 8 locations in Durham Region, we cared for 11,000 kids, with 16,000 active as current clients and another 11,000 who are waiting for services. Clearly, the need for a new Grandview was unquestionable, and we have worked with many partners and municipalities for 14 years to bring this dream to Durham Region. I'd like to share with you a bit tonight about the design vision and the words that have grounded us when we came together to start thinking about this new facility. And there are 4 words that we continue to anchor ourselves to: hope, belonging, discovery, and celebration, of course, for every child and youth living life at their full potential, including their families. And through the next number of slides, I'd like to share images with you that we have been using to inspire us during the planning and development of the new Grandview. I invite you to enjoy them and recognize that across our communities in Durham Region are many children with similar needs, goals, and aspirations. Hopefully you can see how those images have been used to really help keep us focused on why we're doing this work and how important it is to the families that we're so honored to serve. I wanted to spend a few minutes next talking about the design inspiration and the themes that are emerging for our new facility. Many of the images I show next are evolving. We are still in our final design development. So they may not look exactly like this when we open the doors, but really starting to take shape in terms of what we're hoping to achieve in this new facility. Our final design will be available by December, so I anticipate early next year that we'll be out across many regions in areas in Durham region sharing the images of what we will be building to open our doors in the fall of 2024. So some images that are starting to emerge at very special places in the new Grandview. To the far right of the slide, at the top is a family resource center, and you'll see the intention is a place where parents can access information. They can utilize computers. There will be a collection. We're talking with the Ajax Library of having a Grandview collection partnership in the Family Resource Center. And just a space for parents and family members to connect and relax and support each other in a resource center. The image at the bottom is the idea of the entrance for the lobby. In the middle at the bottom is the pool with a beautiful feature of a sunken garden at the far end looking out into nature for children who are enjoying the pool, and a projection ceiling to provide a sensory environment for those who may be enjoying the water as a sensory experience. We'll have a large multi-purpose gym. That's the image you see in the center of the page, really hoping to have very welcome spaces as a reception space you see at the top. And at the far left of the slide, at the top, you see an image of a classroom. You may know that Grandview has a school that we are co-located with, and it's Campbell Children's School. We will have up to 100 children in the school of kindergarten age, and really excited to be able to be developing that education facility co-located in our new Grandview. Their current location is here in Oshawa at our headquarters, and we really do not have the space for the demand of the number of children who require that school annually here in Durham region. We're really thinking about child scale. This is a children's building after all, and so thinking about how we incorporate spaces for children of all abilities and needs, and how they can really make it a place not only to come to receive services and care, but a place to really explore and interact with while they're here in the facility. The idea of whimsy and exploration and fun is really been part of our conversations, how we can make spaces and places for children to enjoy along the way on their journey to therapy or when they're just enjoying the facility with their family. This slide depicts at the bottom left an idea that is emerging for wayfinding with the animals. All of these animals are Indigenous to Durham region, and when we did some of our geotechnical and environmental studies on the parcel of land, all of these animals were viewed during those studies. So we're thinking about incorporating them into wayfinding. At the top of the image on the far left, you see a little nest and the idea of animals in nests or circles, and that is really starting to emerge into the design themes as something we would like to incorporate. You see again the idea of circles in nature and starting to see some of the depiction of possible exterior for the building. The idea of stylized trees and circles and a lot of color. Again, children's building, we need to make sure we're incorporating color with a balance with the nature theme. More whimsy and the use of nature, the idea of floors that are not just linear, but have patterns for children to enjoy and explore along the way. And the use of technology, the image in the middle at the top is an interactive art installation that children can touch the screen and make changes to the installation while they're waiting for a therapy session or waiting for their parents or just enjoying the facility. We're having a lot of fun with those conversations. Again, you're starting to see the idea of the use of dens and the use of natural materials as we think about the interior design of the facility. The animal themes again, just some more of the images that we're using for inspiration as we plan not only the interior look and feel, but the furniture selection that will be comfortable for both children and their parents and anyone visiting Grandview. I'll take you now through the site plan overview and some of the features that are part of the development of the new Grandview that I think may be of interest to the committee. This is the site plan, and so I'll just check. Can you see my mouse on the screen? Are you able to see my mouse at the top of Harwood here?
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. So this is Harwood Avenue. We will have an entrance into the site and 2 lanes leaving the site. It will be a signalized intersection with a crosswalk. We're working with the town of Ajax to work on the development of that to ensure safety for those who are entering our site. The piece of land is an interesting shape. It goes back into this area that is highlighted in red, which is a beautiful feature. It is a wood lot, and we have the advantage of that beautiful nature area where we are developing a therapeutic sensory trail, and I'll share a little bit more with you about that amazing feature. We also show on the slide an arrival playground, so there are a number of places for children who may have difficulty with transition or just need some time prior to entering the facility to enjoy the playground at the front of the building. There is a large playground that wraps all the way around the back. So this playground is incorporated to include the Campbell Children's School, but also available after school hours for the community to enjoy. The wraparound part of the playground includes a garden play area, so lots of nice nature spaces, an outdoor classroom, as well as beautiful planting beds to be enjoyed by the children that come to Grandview, but also by the community. Just wanted to show some of the ways that the community will be able to enjoy and interact with the facility. So coming in from Harwood, there's a nice pathway that will be fully accessible to be able to get around to the back to connect into where the sensory garden is, so that, and the sensory trail, so that the community also can enjoy these amazing spaces that we're creating. I'll just skip by that one and share a little bit about the thought of accessibility in the planning of the pathways around the new Grandview. Those yellow circles depict rest stops, so that for individuals who may have mobility aids or need a place to stop and rest, there are many places for them to do that as they're enjoying the grounds of the facility. I want to talk a little bit about the exterior design. This is really taking shape, and as a children's facility, starting to emerge as what I think is going to be an incredibly unique facility in Durham Region. Again, some of the inspiration that is guiding us in terms of the look and feel of the outside of the building. Again, the hollows, the burrows, and the nests really starting to take shape. The next slide is a current rendering. It will probably change. So just again, a glimpse into where we're at, but I wanted to share it with you tonight. This is a side view of the facility, and I'll orient you that this yellow canopy where my mouse is actually the front of the facility, so facing Harwood Avenue. The piece of land is unique in that it slopes up quite significantly, such that at the back of the facility where the school will be a level entrance. So the school is actually on level 2, although it will feel as though it is a level entrance. So we have some interesting opportunities to play with the slope of the land in the way the building is designed. There is a therapeutic terrace here that will be outdoor therapy for children. We are not loving the fence along the outdoor therapy terrace right now, so we're probably changing that. There's a slide feature that is really exciting from the terrace that goes into the playground, and just some really lovely opportunities to play with color and some of the window finishings to make it truly a spectacular children's facility here in Durham Region. The landscape design is also, in my view, an amazing opportunity because of the parcel of land to really extend the therapeutic environment out into the grounds of the new Children's Center, as well as to invite the community to enjoy the property with us. And so this idea of discovery extending into nature and really allowing children to explore and unearth and expose in their environment, we've really been trying to maximize how we can make sure our designs incorporate that. Some of the features I mentioned before, again, the play areas, the sunken garden, and that sensory woodlot trail really becoming much more developed as wonderful ideas. The landscape architects are very creative, and we're really excited with the ideas that they're bringing forward. Some of the images that they've been bringing to us with ideas of how to incorporate whimsy and childlike magic into some of these spaces. Of course, our playgrounds will be inclusive and include opportunities for children with all needs to be able to participate, and all ages. So we have at Grandview, we serve children from birth to the age of 21. So there's a need for those outdoor spaces to be able to have something to meet the needs of everyone. Again, just a bit of an image of what we've been using to inspire us as we think about how those spaces may come together. Arrival play with a bit of natural planting, as well as some places for children to explore and burn off some energy, perhaps if they've been in the car on the way to the appointment. Again, just making sure that it's welcoming and there's something for everyone. I love this image at the front of the woodlot sensory trail, the image at the far left of a willow hut or a tunnel entering into the sensory trail has really captured our imagination, and we are planning to include that as the gateway into the sensory trail to just add another element of fun and exploration for the children. Again, just a bird's eye view of how that trailhead is coming along. Some opportunities for a little bit of challenge areas for children who are working on their motor skills. Also the opportunity for children who utilize chairs to experience the full trail. And you'll see at the bottom, there is another outdoor classroom for children to enjoy with a variety of seating arrangements such that the teachers or the therapists who are doing groups can enjoy bringing children into an outdoor environment for learning. There's the image of the Willow Tunnel, and again, really making this experience into the trail one of truly enjoying nature. You see the sign that looks similar to a provincial park sign, really welcoming children into the experience of enjoying that trail. Log benches, as much as possible, we want to incorporate natural materials into the furnishings in all of the outdoor spaces so that children can really experience that tactile experience for children that enjoy that, but also really that natural environment. And then thinking finally about the experience, just a few more images that have been capturing our imagination. This is a depiction of the front lobby looking as though you're coming out of the elevators, about to exit the facility. Another image of the pool. Again, you can see fully accessible pool. There'll be a chairlift as well as an underwater treadmill for individuals to enjoy. And again, you get a sneak peek at the start of that sunken garden for children to enjoy that space when they're looking out the window, but you won't be able to see in with the glazing. We've made sure that it isn't a place where people would not want to swim with for privacy concerns, that they will be able to have their privacy protected. Again, the image of the gymnasium you've seen before. And just finishing up the idea of wayfinding in the building, of course, incorporating all of the needs that we have for accessibility and really using a multitude of ways to help people find their way through the facility with this animal idea. The animals, again, indigenous to that parcel of land, and the use of color, of course, all of the requirements for Braille and for accessibility, really making sure that it's an easy building for people to find their way through. In terms of additional electronic or digital accessibility, the picture at the top right, that is a picture of Joy. She's a robot that works with us at Grandview. And you may know there's some really exciting robot wayfinding that children will be able to enjoy. And we're hoping to expand on the robot. Some of children at Grandview really respond to Joy, really enjoy interacting with her. And we see her as a solution to some of the wayfinding in the future. I talked about some of the interactive art. You see the picture of the little girl dancing and seeing an image back to her on the wall. We're hoping to really ensure there are places tucked away for children to explore and again, have a bit of a sensory experience while they're here with us at Grandview. And so in summary, those 4 words again: hope, belonging, discovery, and celebration. These are guiding us as we think about this new facility that will be not that far down the road until we're cutting a ribbon and welcoming our clients to that new facility and welcoming the community to enjoy the amenities that it also will bring. So thank you for the opportunity. I'll perhaps stop sharing, Madam Chair, and take questions if that's okay.
Thank you so much, Lauren. Thank you again. Any questions for Lauren?
Yes, hi, Roseanne speaking. Thank you very much, Lorraine, for that presentation. And I've been connected in the past through a family member with Grandview. I guess that would have been close to 40 years ago. So I've kind of seen the evolution as it's grown. You mentioned that there's an 11,000 person waiting list. I wouldn't assume that you would have an elaborate plan, but do you have, or is there a vision on how those 11,000 can be addressed?
We're working on that. So during the election campaign, actually, there was a large advocacy campaign with all of the children's treatment centers in the province, an initiative called Making Kids Count, requesting an investment to be able to address the wait list. So our community is not unique, sadly, that across Ontario, there are about 80,000 children waiting for rehabilitation services. And of course, the pandemic has exacerbated wait times for all children. So children are waiting for surgical procedures as well. So I encourage you to look up the Making Kids Count campaign. We, of course, as well, have a unique opportunity with our new facility as we're working on the operating budget with our government partners to really make the case for what's happening in Durham Region. We're a bit unique in Durham that we do have still a growing child and youth population. And so we have a really strong case for an investment in Durham to make sure that kids are getting services they need and also that they're getting them early in life so that they can make the most of the therapies they're receiving.
Thank you.
Heather?
Well, thank you very much, Lorraine. That was a really nice presentation. Lorraine, when is the projected grand opening?
So we get the keys handed to us, is the way they're referring to it, the end of August 2024. And so we hope to be open September 2024 when the children start school so that we can start transitioning. Probably it will open in phases, but fall 2024 is the plan.
Any further questions for Lorraine?
I have one. It's something that was probably done in the planning, and a strong message that I like to communicate is the message of imaging, and having supported and walked alongside families with a family member with a disability, and that whole valued image that we hope for them. And I was just thinking, like, the stress on animals really stood out for me in your presentation. Mm-hmm. And that equating children, human children, with animals. But I do love the connection with the discovery in nature theme, as opposed to making the stress on animals per se. So I just, I wouldn't want there to be just that sort of skewed messaging.
Yeah, thank you for that feedback. I think we hear you, and I think you'll be very delighted that the animals hopefully will be background in the wayfinding, and the experience for children will be interacting with the facility. Yeah.
I have another question, if I may. Lorraine, what if someone is visually impaired? What is in place for that?
The requirements in building a new facility now, Heather, are very clear. So we have a number of accessibility guidelines or codes that need to be followed. So not only the AODA, but this building will be certified under the Rick Hansen accessibility guidelines. Canadian Tire Jumpstart came on with a very significant donation to the project. And so we will be required to be certified through the Rick Hansen as well as AODA. And it will be fully integrated in the facility for individuals with all needs, including those with visual impairment.
Any other questions for Lorraine? Seeing there are no more questions, Lorraine, I want to thank you so much, the Accessibility Advisory Committee, for that presentation. What I do love about the presentation is the colors. It's very colorful. And, you know, most institutions are very bland, you know, the walls and, you know, things like that. But even the image of going into the building is very colorful. And I think that is an image of happiness So I really like that. And I also love the color. What I also love is the words that you've used, the hope, belonging, discovery, the celebration, and then the other words that was used consistently, like the inclusiveness and the belonging and the connection and the inspiration. I like those words, and I hope those words carry through to the project. What we would love to see is you coming back to us at some point to give us a status update on where you are heading into the fall of 2024.
Thank you so much, Sephaline, and thank you to the committee. Be very pleased to come back and show you where the designs are landing. We are working with our family engagement team in terms of getting their feedback and clients' feedback to make sure we're building what they want as well. So really appreciate the opportunity to update you, and thank you for the time and for the work that the committee does. Thanks so much, Sephaline.
Thank you again. Thank you, Lorraine.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. And so we will move on to 4.2, Ajax Housing Strategy, Phase 1, and background data and housing needs analysis. And joining us today will be Joyce Green, the senior planner for the town of Ajax. Joyce?
Hi, sorry, just a correction. I'm just planner, not senior planner on that.
Okay.
If it's okay, I'll share my screen and I'll start the presentation tonight. Okay, just I'm going to make sure everyone can see the screen okay. Okay, so good evening, Madam Chair and members of the Accessibility Advisory Committee. My name is Joyce Chen. I'm a planner in the Planning and Development Services Department, and I'm here tonight with Stavanis, Manager of Planning. Thank you for having us here tonight to talk about the housing strategy. The presentation tonight will cover the purpose of the housing strategy, the housing strategy phases, a brief overview of the Phase 1 report, housing strategy neighborhoods, highlights of some key observations and housing gaps and needs identified in Section 7 of the report. It will also go over the public consultation process and the next steps and timing in the project. So why a housing strategy? The need for a housing strategy is identified by Council in the town's strategic plan in the top 22 by 2022. The Town of Ajax official plan also provides direction for a housing report, and there have been various council initiatives and or motions over the term on affordable housing, homelessness, and short-term rentals. The housing strategy will be completed in 2 phases. We are currently in Phase 1, which consists of a background report that will be summarized in this presentation. The background report also identifies observations and early gaps. Data for the background report has been collected and collaborated from various sources, including town departments. This includes building services, bylaw services, and planning. We've also collaborated with and spoken to Durham Youth Services, the Salvation Army, Christian Faith Outreach Center, Fraser Heights Co-op, Horizon House, Ajax Municipal Housing Corporation, Statistics Canada, Canada Mortgage and Housing Corporation, Toronto Regional Real Estate Board, and the Region of Durham. Staff will draft the Phase 2 report to identify recommendations and actions to address gaps and incorporate feedback received from the public and stakeholders in Phase 1. It is important to note that the Phase 1 report does not provide any recommendations, strategies, or actions. It only presents key findings, observations, and housing gaps identified in the data. The housing strategy study area consists of 9 neighborhoods. These neighborhoods are based on the Durham Region Health neighborhoods, and each neighborhood aligns and uses dissemination area census data. Some of the key observations from the section on population statistics include the rate of population growth in Ajax is growing faster than projected in the town's official plan, where by 2031, it was anticipated to reach 137,670 people. It has been projected that the town could achieve this by 2026. The 65 plus age cohorts are the fastest growing in Durham region. It is projected that by 2051, the population over 65 will represent 20% of the total population, compared with 14% in 2016. Of all the municipalities in Durham, Ajax has the highest immigrant population, representing approximately 39% of the total population, compared with the region with approximately 24% of the total population. The highest proportion of immigrants are located in the two fastest growing neighborhoods, Ajax Northeast and Ajax Northwest. When it comes to the homeless population, Ajax has the second highest with 11% homeless population in the region, according to the 2017 point-in-time homeless count. This is following Oshawa with almost 74% of homeless individuals. Some of the key observations from the section on household statistics include, while in the past, growth in Ajax was through subdivisions in greenfield areas, future growth will largely be dependent on intensification and infill. Couples with children is the predominant household type in Ajax, with approximately 41% of households. Within the unique household type, visible minority and immigrant are the predominant types, and households with a person with a disability represent approximately 10% of this group. Smaller households, couples without children, and persons living alone combined represented approximately 32% of the households, and these smaller households may be overhoused where there are less people in a dwelling than rooms required. So for example, a 2-person household living in a 3-bedroom dwelling. When looking at the housing supply, in 2020, the predominant types of dwellings in the town overall were detached and townhouses, representing approximately 64% and 15% of the inventory respectively. This is followed by apartments, which represent only approximately 12% of the town's inventory and is the lowest percentage of apartments in all comparable municipalities in Durham. Semi-detached and duplexes represented a small percentage of 6% and 4% respectively. On this slide, we can see the breakdown by housing strategy neighborhoods, and that 8 of the 9 neighborhoods have detached dwellings as the predominant type. Downtown Ajax is the only neighborhood where apartment dwellings make up more than half of the unit types, and downtown Ajax is identified through the region's municipal comprehensive review as having the greatest growth potential. There are a total of 9,955 residential units proposed in active development applications in the town. The overwhelming majority of these proposed units are apartments, which account for 79% of all types of proposed units. If constructed, this would shift the overall proportion of apartment units from 12% to 25% of the overall inventory in Ajax. Detached dwellings would shift from 64% to 52% of the overall inventory. The development applications demonstrate a clear shift in dwelling types from detached to denser forms. Reasons for this can be attributed to the fact that the town has only approximately 37 hectares of remaining greenfield land available, which is likely to be developed for low and medium density uses. The remaining neighborhoods in Ajax are established, and new housing development will be in the form of infill and intensification. Non-market housing key observations include, in 2021, there were 8,231 households on the region's centralized waitlist, and 76 households are on the waitlist for accessible units. Seniors housing includes assisted living long-term care homes that are regulated under the Long-Term Care Homes Act. The number of people on the waitlist compared to the number of beds available demonstrates a high demand for long-term care beds. Seniors housing also includes independent living, which can be privately owned, funded and operated, or community and affordable housing units operated by a nonprofit or government. There are 1,011 independent senior living units under construction or proposed. While there is an increase in these units, the demand for them will need to be monitored to determine if additional units will meet the needs of the aging population. Key observations in market housing include the average dwelling resale purchase price increased 173% between 2006 and 2020. Between 2006 and 2020, increases in the average rent price for all bedroom types occurred, with a 71% increase for 1-bedroom unit, 45% increase for 2-bedroom unit, and 31% increase for 3-bedroom unit. Rental vacancy rates were less than 2% in 2020. This number is low and indicates a demand for rentals, as the Canada Mortgage Housing Corporation considers 3% to be a healthy vacancy rate. The definition of affordable housing from the provincial policy statement is as follows. For ownership housing, affordable housing is the least expensive of housing that is less than 30% of the gross annual household income for low and moderate income households, or housing purchase price that is at least 10% below the average purchase price of a resale unit. And in the case of rental housing, affordable housing is considered to be the least expensive of a unit which the rent is less than 30% of the gross annual household income for low and moderate income households, or a unit which the rent is at or below the average market rent of a unit. Housing affordability issues occur when households spend more than 30% of their gross household income on shelter. Severe housing affordability occurs when households spend more than 50% of their gross household income on shelter, and households facing affordability and severe housing affordability issues may also be in core housing need. Core housing need is when households spend 30% of their gross income on shelter, are in housing that is not suitable, meaning that there are not enough bedrooms for the household composition, and or are in housing that is not adequate, meaning it is in need of repair. Key observations for Ajax ownership and rental housing affordability include the average price of all dwelling types in 2020 was $836,365. This is only affordable to a segment of high-income Ajax households. The maximum purchase price of a house that is considered affordable is $252,353 to low-income owner households. $429,359 is the maximum purchase price that is considered affordable to moderate income owner households. The average market rent in 2020 was $1,390. This is not affordable to low-income households and a portion of moderate income households. To put that into context, $847 is the maximum rent considered affordable to low-income renter households, and $1,350 is the maximum rent considered affordable for moderate income renter households. Based on the definition of affordable housing, the average resale price of all dwelling types of $836,365 is not considered affordable to low or moderate income owner households. In 2020, the average market rent of $1,390 is not considered affordable to low or moderate households, those in income deciles 4 and 5. Renter households at the top of the moderate income category, those in the 6th income decile, are able to afford the average market rent. To understand the housing gaps and needs of the town's residents, we reviewed the data against the CMHC housing continuum. The housing market is made up of the market housing and non-market housing. Non-market housing on the left side consists of temporary and permanent housing units provided by nonprofit organizations and or the region of Durham. This includes categories from homelessness to community housing. Within market housing on the far right side is further divided into ownership housing and rental housing, which consists of the primary rental market, such as purpose-built rentals, and secondary rental markets, such as accessory apartments in private homes and privately owned dwellings, and also the short-term rental markets, such as Airbnbs. Affordable housing is overlapped by the market and non-market housing on the right side. Based on the analysis of housing data and the summary of key observations, the following initial gaps, housing gaps and needs, and emerging gaps have been identified along the housing continuum. These are not recommendations for strategies or actions, as those will be provided in phase 2 of the housing strategy. Housing gaps and needs within the non-market housing include: there is a need for more shelter beds, supportive housing, and transitional housing in Ajax. As mentioned previously, when it comes to the homeless population in Durham, Ajax has the second highest homeless population in the region. While there are supports for individuals experiencing homelessness, there is little in the way of overnight shelters or transitional and supportive housing. Shelters, transitional housing, and supportive housing in Ajax are well-utilized services that have reported to turn away individuals due to capacity. There are also long centralized wait lists for community housing, suggesting a need for more of these housing types. There is a need for more supportive housing options for an aging population. As mentioned previously, the population is aging, with a large proportion of the population projected to be seniors 65 plus, and as more residents enter the 75 plus cohort, demand will increase over time for housing to support the specific needs of this older cohort. Although the number of long-term care beds have increased in Ajax, more beds are still needed as the demand is 3 times greater than the number of beds available. There is a need for more community housing, social housing, or rent geared to income housing units in Durham Region. The demand for these types of units will increase as house prices increase. Durham Region manages a centralized waiting list for all units in community housing. In 2021, there were over 8,000 households on the wait list in Durham Region. Housing gaps and needs within affordable housing include: there is a need for ownership housing that is affordable for low and moderate income households. Ajax has a high housing ownership rate with approximately 85% of dwellings in 2020 being owner occupied. It is no surprise that housing prices are increasing in Ajax. Resale home purchase prices are not affordable to low and moderate income owner households. In Ajax is noted in the key observations only. Owner households at the upper end of the higher income category can afford the average purchase price for a house in Ajax. There is a need for rental housing that is affordable for low and moderate income households. The average monthly rent for all unit sizes have been increasing. Affordability is still a major issue in the rental sector. This is largely because renter household incomes tend to be lower than ownership household incomes. Renter households at the upper end of the moderate income category and all households in the high income category can afford the average monthly rent in Ajax. This leaves a majority of households, especially those in the low income category, unable to afford ownership or rental housing unless these households spend more than 30% of their income on shelter costs. Housing needs and gaps within the market housing include: there is a need to create new housing opportunities in Ajax with a focus on intensification. The town has observed significant growth of approximately 46% from 90,167 people in 2006 to 132,030 people in 2020. There are only 37 hectares of greenfield land remaining in the town, meaning that denser forms of housing will be required to house the growing population. The downtown Ajax neighborhood was identified as having the greatest growth potential. There is a need to diversify the housing stock in Ajax. The majority of existing housing in Ajax, approximately 85%, is ground-related housing, which is detached, semi-detached, and townhouse dwellings. These types of dwellings may be more suitable for larger or multi-generational families and families with children, and they may not be as suitable for other types of households. Even with the high number of apartment units under development, detached dwellings will remain the predominant type of dwelling in Ajax, approximately 52%. There is a need for more purpose-built rental units in Ajax. Low rental vacancy rates in purpose-built rental buildings may be a factor in the need for households to seek units in the secondary rental market. More purpose-built rental units would provide additional housing opportunities suitable for young adults, new arrivals to the community, low-income households, and seniors. There is a need for more housing options suitable for smaller households, including couples without children and persons living alone. Smaller households can typically be accommodated in denser forms of housing that have 1 or 2 bedrooms, such as apartment buildings or apartment dwellings. As mentioned earlier, smaller households represented approximately 32% of all households in Ajax. The low percentage of 12% for apartment dwellings in Ajax indicates that a significant portion of these smaller households were most likely overhoused. Emerging gaps and opportunities include: there's an opportunity to work with the Region of Durham on short-term monitoring program. This will assist the town in identifying any potential negative impacts that short-term rentals could have on the town's supply of housing and assist town staff in developing policies, regulations, and licensing requirement if needed. In November 2020, Council passed a motion on short-term rentals directing staff to review the viability of implementing appropriate mechanisms to minimize the prevalence of short-term rentals. Following a monitoring program led by Bylaw Services, only 63 active listings were identified, representing only 0.15% of housing in Ajax. Similarly, in 2019, the Region of Durham completed their own assessment and only identified 68 listings. No issues, orders, or violations were identified by town staff, and due to the relatively small proportion of listings, staff recommend that a mechanism not be implemented at this time. However, through this process, staff are committing to monitoring short-term rentals on an ongoing basis with the region and continually reevaluate if a mechanism is required in the future. Town staff have also joined a regional task force looking at a coordinated framework across the region. There is an opportunity to advocate for funding programs from the provincial and federal governments to support renovation and rehabilitation of existing rental units. Although Ajax has a relatively young housing stock, with 76% of its housing stock built within the last 40 years, the primary rental units within the town are older and are built prior to 1980, reflecting the statistic that rental dwellings were more than twice as likely to be in need of major repairs than owned dwellings. In development of the Phase 1 report, we have collaborated extensively with Durham Region Housing Services Division and the Planning and Economic Development Department, among those other stakeholders mentioned at the beginning of the presentation. The housing strategy will be using an online engagement method, including the Zoom platform and the town's IMO page, with links to the town's Facebook, Twitter, and email for the community to become involved in the discussion around housing. Staff have been working with communications to create project branding and an online survey for consultation. The main purpose of the consultation is to discuss and obtain feedback on the housing gaps and observations from the report, mainly Section 7. The report has been released for a 90-day commenting period ending on September the 6th. The next steps for the housing strategy are stakeholder consultation and public open house will be held on June 22nd. The open house is from 7 to 9 p.m. Staff will report back to council with a draft Phase 2 housing strategy recommendation report at CAP in winter 2023 and go out for further consultation on the draft recommendations, strategies, and actions. The Phase 2 report is anticipated to be finalized following community consultation and presented to council in spring 2023. Thank you, and this concludes the presentation.
Thank you, Joyce, so much, very much, and quite an interesting strategy there. Any questions for Joyce?
Hi, Joyce. Roseanne speaking. I wanted, something stood out. Oh, the Ajax having the second highest rate of homelessness in the Durham region. I'm not disputing that. I just know that PCOP, that program that was with the paramedics in Oshawa, that had done a study over 2017, 2018 or so, where Whitby had a significantly higher rate of homelessness than Ajax. Are you familiar with that PCOP program?
No, I'm not familiar with that program. This point in time pit count it was conducted by CDCD, and it's a little bit different, but even with the updated pit count for 2021, it's still showing that Ajax is still with the second highest, homeless population.
Okay, well, thank you for sharing that. It was the point in time count that had gotten that result. Interesting. Thank you.
Lisa speaking. Thank you for the presentation, Joyce. It's very interesting. I've seen it before and it's still just as interesting. So thank you. And it's a lot of data. So a lot of work has been put into this for sure. I just wanted to clarify when you talked about housing affordability and that it was, I think, greater than 30% of the gross household income on shelter. That's one of the definitions. And so I just wanted to confirm that is just the price of paying either a mortgage or a rent. It does not include the cost of heating or lighting the home, utilities, etc. It's just the shelter itself.
Let's see here. I believe so. That was the definition for that for the shelter. It did include one of the other. Electricity or taxes.
I can step in. So the shelter, the cost of shelter includes rent or mortgage. It does include utilities. It will include taxes. We are using CMHC's definition of shelter because we are using CMHC data. The Bank of Canada defines shelter differently. They include other expenses, but it's basically rent, mortgage, taxes, utilities.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. I didn't know. I wasn't sure of that. So thank you. That was my question, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Bowell. Any further questions?
Just one that just came to mind. We had a presentation either here or at the region where there are those temporary housing units that are being proposed for the region. Has that been presented for Ajax at all? The temporary housing units for the homelessness?
For homelessness?
I wish I had my notes ready for that, but
is that the micro homes that you were referring to?
The micro homes, yes, I believe so. Yes. So, has anything been proposed for Ajax particularly, or as a yes? Sorry.
Oh, I apologize. So perhaps I can answer that question. We don't have any developers or nonprofits or any other organizations that have come forward looking to develop a project like that. So we haven't had that.
And could I ask if I don't know if you know, because I hadn't seen the pit count results for 2020. Where are they located? Do you know? The homeless.
Like you mean the
Ajax?
Oh, in Ajax.
Yeah.
There were, I think, certain streets that they went to go do the counts on. I don't have the specific streets available, but I can always send you the link for the report if you're interested in some more information on that. And I can definitely look into it to find out what the specific areas are that they looked into for Ajax.
Oh, that would be wonderful if you could forward that to Sarah. It would be great to see, because I think, and other committee members, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't see that second level of homelessness apart from Oshawa, if you understand what I mean. Like I drive all over the region for my work, and it's just not as obvious in Ajax.
It's up by the lake is one of the areas, if I may interject. On the trails, they're in the trees. They have little areas, little camps. I've seen several. I haven't seen as much lately because I'm not doing the trail, but it was quite prevalent, and the bylaw services go through there on Saturdays and check. And there's fires that go, they have fires up by the lake as well.
Thank you, Heather.
Yeah, thank you. Welcome.
If there are no further questions for Joyce, as chair, I have a few questions for Joyce. Following on the homeless, 11% of the homeless, I'm still trying to wrap my head around them. Are these residents that was of Ajax, or people who are coming into Ajax as homeless people? I think the latter is more correct. Where are you getting the data? Where are these homeless people emerging from?
It was a count that was done by CDCD. So that's the Community Development Council Durham. And they usually have, they conduct it over like a 24-hour period. I'm not sure. I know the one in 2021 was conducted in October. For the 2017 numbers, I'd have to check what the time frame was for that one. And so they look at people that are living unsheltered, some that are in shelters, some that are in perhaps transitional locations, and even ones that are, perhaps couch surfing. So they'll kind of do that count that way.
Okay. In the survey, I made a very good recommendations for that type. So I hope you all follow through. And this, were you going to say something before I finish?
Yeah, I apologize for interrupting. The report, the 2017 report, didn't didn't identify where the individuals came from. They just identified them as being counted in the municipality.
And another question I have, you talked about one bedroom, 71% increase in one bedroom. I wondered how are you coming up? Because this is very high, because the 2-bedroom, the 3-bedroom doesn't seem as high as the 1-bedroom. What do you attribute to the increase for the 1-bedroom unit as opposed to 2- and 3-bedroom units?
It really does come down to what the market will bear and what they can get for the rent. The data was taken from the Toronto Regional Real Estate Board. Do I have that correct, Joyce?
Yes, that's correct. But for the rent, it was through the CMHC housing portal. It had the rental rates. And so we just took the numbers that they had provided for 2006 and for 2020.
And one more question. Is it possible when you put in these reports out to have a definition page? What is affordable? What's your definition of affordable? What's your definition of low income? What's moderate income? Like all these words that are thrown around, and we need to have a definition. What definition are we working with in Ajax? So that we have an idea, because it shows that 85% of the household in Ajax are family owned. So we have another 15% of what we would consider renting. Of all the houses in Ajax, you have that 85% of family owned, and then the 15% is only renters, and the 15%, what I suppose is renters, would be the 15%. So if you're looking at trying to build housing for renters, when the renting is only 15% of the total 100%, that I'm trying to wrap my head around. Maybe help me on that one.
So the percentages for owner households and renter households are provided from Statistics Canada through the census data, and that's based on their information that they've collected.
So this is not data that we did an epidemiology study in Ajax and did that study. We're just picking it out of the data.
It's Ajax specific data that the Census Statistics Canada has collected in 2016.
So this is 2016 data we're looking at right now.
Yes.
Okay.
Because the 2021 was not available at the time that the report was written.
Yeah. So if you were looking at 2016 and the homeless rate is 11% in 2016, what is the rate now? Because we are now nearly 6 years ahead of the game here. So I think coming back to Roseanne's question of she's not seen a lot of homeless people around. If we had 11% then, is it increased to a number that's very high now?
Yes. So in the 2021 PIT count, although Ajax is still second highest for the homeless individuals, the percentage for the overall, I guess, number of homeless in Durham did increase from the 11% to the 30%.
So we have 30% homeless in Ajax now.
According to the count. So there was only, 573 individuals that were counted in 2021 for Durham region. So out of those individuals.
So out of the 100% household in Ajax, 30% of that group is homeless? Whoa.
No. So Steph?
So this is, yeah, perhaps I can clarify a bit. The household counts are different than the homeless counts. So the household counts are Statistics Canada information, and those are people with addresses. The homeless are not counted in the census. So the homeless count through the point in time count that was done in 2021, they counted 500 and some odd individuals in Durham region. Of those 500 and some odd individuals they counted in Durham region, 30% of them were in Ajax.
So there was 100 in Ajax that they counted.
It's a different statistic than the households. They are not related.
Okay, thank you. Any further questions for Joyce? Oh, and this, I'm calling you on this because I didn't get your first name. Sorry.
Steph, through the chair, Madam Chair, I have a quick question. And to my colleagues in planning, you know this is always a struggle for us to wrap our heads around with policy. So we know that in terms of housing, for certain builds and developments, there is a ratio of required accessible, I say that in quotations, or units that incorporate universal design elements. However, the challenge always is ensuring that the individuals that require that access actually get to acquire those units. Do you foresee any way through this strategy or any town action that could be taken in terms of policy? I'm going out on a limb here, but you probably know where I'm going, to try and rectify the disconnect between availability of accessible housing to those who need it?
Mm-hmm.
That's a very good question and a difficult one to answer in some ways. The accessibility requirement applies to apartment buildings, so either condominium or rental, new ones that are being developed. The town is not involved in the logistics of who would purchase a unit that would be accessible or who would rent a unit that would be accessible. It would be up to the condominium corporation or the rental corporation to put their own criteria in place to ensure that the accessible units were occupied by individuals who actually required those units, or that those individuals would get first priority for those types of units. It's an operational matter that is beyond planning.
I appreciate that clarification for the benefit of the committee. Is there any scope in which a municipality can impose higher rates than what is required by legislation on development, or is that beyond the authority within our planning?
We cannot require it. We can request it, and if the developer is amenable to it, that is the only way we would be able to get more than the 15%.
Understood. Thank you very much.
Thank you all for those. Oh, Councillor Bauer.
Thank you, Chair. Lisa speaking. Thank you, Sarah, for asking that question. Those questions. It made me think of something regarding planning and the complete. It's the checklist, and I think if I remember, it's for the complete application. Sean McCullough talked about it to us, and what I was thinking of was the green design. You know, that new green design. I never know the full name of it, where there's different options, I guess, to present to developers for how they can really be more environmentally conscious and friendly in their design and build. And then we can't mandate that these be met, but we can provide these options and ideas and encourage. Is there a way that, like, would it be possible to have like a checklist like that as far as accessible planning?
Through the chair, I'll defer to planning for this, but I can add comments if you'd like.
Okay. Well, Sarah, if you want to start. No?
Okay. I was just going to say that in the portfolio of accessibility compliance, I do assist planning in terms of review of applications from accessibility, but just as Ms. Andis explained, it can be a bit of a give and take in a negotiation because the limitations are that the municipality doesn't have the enforcement authority for the provincial legislation when it comes to the accessibility requirements. So we can ask, we can encourage, we can plead, but ultimately it comes down to the developer's choice.
Okay. And would it be a formal process of the asks and the suggestions? Like there's an actual list that's presented to a developer?
Yep. So part of the site plan review comments or the pre-consultation comments, I do participate in those reviews, and it's done on a case-by-case basis as each application is different. However, there are standard requirements that we're reminding the developers and the applicants of in terms of compliance, and then where they would be encouraged to go above and beyond.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. And just a quick thought. With the aging population, we've got statistics that shows it will be increasing over the next few years. I'm thinking about the aging population may not have an issue with an illness accessibility, but they may have an issue with accessibility due to age related. How are you all planning for this without not having their go-to to speak to the developers, where if they're building buildings that may not have the type of facilities that is needed for that group that is exponentially growing?
Yep. So this particular phase, we're not looking at the strategies. What we're doing through the consultation is getting some feedback about where it would be appropriate for us to go in terms of actions and strategies. Definitely the increase in the older age cohorts is really important in focusing our policies or our relationships with developers to look at providing more types of housing that is appropriate for the aging population. And as you say, some of them may develop accessibility issues just through the fact that they are aging as opposed to from an illness. We do have more retirement home facilities that are coming online. That are in active development and under review right now. So there will be a significant number of units that will be constructed over the next 5 to 10 years. We do have a new long-term care facility in Ajax that just opened up a few months ago. So there is some recognition from the provincial sector, from the private nonprofit sector, and even the for-profit retirement home sector that they are increasing the type of housing that would be suitable for an aging population. But as we know, the retirement homes aren't necessarily an affordable option for many people. Mm-hmm. So any sort of information or feedback that can be provided to us in terms of what would be appropriate. Are we looking at rental apartments? Are we looking at condominium apartments? The type of housing is one matter, and then the affordability of that housing is another matter.
Thank you very much. And if there are no further questions, thank you all very much for a very excellent presentation. And you can see there are lots of questions. So please come back and let us know what's happening. And there's a lot of information for the town to follow through. Thank you so much again.
Thank you.
And we will continue with our presentation and discussion items. So 4.3, Regional Accessibility Award nomination for discussion. So, Sarah, you want to take the lead on this?
Sure. Thank you, Madam Chair. So as follow-up to our conversation at last month's meeting, we were considering potential nominees for this year's Regional Accessibility Award. We had some conversation regarding former member Barb Dowds. And with that interest, on behalf of the committee, I did reach out to her family as she's having good days and bad days, but her daughter is in full support if the committee is interested in pursuing a nomination for Barb and is happy to help anyone who is preparing that nomination in terms of sharing information. And so if it is the direction of the committee to go with that nominee, we can work offline and prepare the nomination. But tonight we would be looking for some type of formal direction to pursue a nomination if the committee chooses.
Any questions for Sarah? Councilor Bauer?
Thank you, Chair. Were there any other names brought forward? Just out of curiosity, I know you gave us some time to think about it. Were there any other names brought forward?
I didn't hear from anybody from the committee, no, unfortunately.
Thank you.
Any discussion? Any? So, Sarah, can we put forward a motion for this tonight? Because it seems as everyone is in agreement with the choice.
We can, but you cannot, Madam Chair.
Yeah. So what can happen? We can?
I can nominate Barb Dowds, long-term committee member, I think over 16 years, a good friend, and I wish her all the best in the future. And I'd like to nominate her as well, or second it, or whatever you want me to do here, Sarah.
Well, you can go as first, and we have a second nominator. Would be great. I can't. I've known her for many years, but I can't.
Kaylee speaking. I second the nomination.
Thank you. So, Sarah, is this a motion that was now we can ask everybody if they agree now? All those in favor? Okay, so all those in favor? Aye. Thank you. And this is carried. Okay, so any other further discussion? This motion is carried, and Bob will be the Regional Accessibility Award nominee for 2022, Sarah?
That's correct, Madam Chair. Thank you for the direction from the committee. If there's anyone on the call tonight or from our members who are absent tonight, I'll send out an email just to solicit participation for anybody who's interested in helping prepare the nomination. And that group will prepare a draft and circulate it to the committee for final review.
Thank you so much. Okay, and we'll move on to 4.4, 2022 National Accessibility Week and the Seniors Barbecue. Again, for members to share their feedback on the event throughout that week.
Through you, Madam Chair, if I may, we do have a special guest with us tonight. Jude Danks is participating in our meeting as a guest, as he was a participant during National Accessibility Week. And with the committee's permission, he would like to share a little bit of feedback from his experience.
Oh, yes, definitely. Thank you so much.
Okay. Say hi.
Hi. Okay, so the old thing is what mathing was is like showing, like, say you got an injured brain, you would show the story by oat, like a mask. So like there was this construction guy and something fell on his head. So he made oat of it.
He had a brain injury, right?
Yeah. So accessibility is like if you need a lap, after a lap, you can get anything available to help you.
Mhm.
They're telling their stories through the masks, right?
So to tell their stories through the mask.
Those are your brain. And here's a brain that you got.
Thank you so much, Jude. So which event did you attend?
The mask one.
And you got to speak with some of the artists, right?
Right.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Bye.
Toodaloo. Bye-bye.
Thank you for letting me share.
Thank you for sharing.
Come back and see us again, won't you? Good. Okay. So we will continue with the discussion of the week. Sarah?
Yes, so just it was a busy week, another busy week. We started off with our flag raising event. We had a small gathering for that. Big thank you to Roseanne for stepping in and speaking on behalf of the committee, as well as Ray, who was in attendance for that event. I know members were also participating in other online events that were being hosted by other municipalities and organizations throughout the week. So I'm eager to hear if any of those were of interest to the group. We had our film screening at the St. Francis Center. We had about 30 people in attendance on the Friday evening, which was great to be back in that space, such a beautiful theater for arts and culture events. So it was really nice to see everybody. And I feel like everybody really enjoyed the movie. So that was great. Thank you to Kaylee and Councillor Bauer who helped out with that event. It was great running the concession stand with you. And on Saturday, we had the unmasking exhibit, which is where Jude came out with his family to see the 40 masks on display. We had representatives from Brain Injury Association Durham, as well as Heads Up Durham, as well as 2 artists who have created masks through the unmasking program. So it was really great to have one-on-one conversations about their stories and their creative processes, and to strengthen a connection with the Brain Injury Association of Durham Region, as we were already brainstorming opportunities for us to collaborate and do other initiatives and events in the future, possibly maybe even one day hosting a mask creation event for clients of BIAD in the future. So lots of great opportunities to come through that partnership. And overall, it was a very busy week. And just last week, we had Heather and Zeppeline take part in the Seniors Barbecue, which is another great event to get back to after all of this time. So I leave it to any of the committee members who participated to share any feedback or suggestions on how our events went, because it's been a while.
Roseanne speaking through the chair. I wished we had more presence at the flag raising. I know before COVID, we did have a big group there, I remember. But maybe we just need to get the word out more.
Yeah.
Because it's true. I don't think too many community members would have known that was happening.
Yeah, I think people are just getting out and doing the face-to-face thing. And I've attended a few face-to-face events, including our seniors barbecue last week, and it was very great to see. I felt like I didn't miss a beat. They were saying, "Oh, she's a social butterfly." I think I didn't miss a beat. It was just like if we were, those 2 years were eradicated from our system. And we were just back to, having the barbecue and meeting, everyone from the town and all the different organizations there and chatting with them. It didn't seem as if we had, a 2-year hiatus. It just seems to just roll right into it. So I think that was, at that part, I really, really enjoyed, because I thought we kind of just rolled into the thing. And then for the flag raising, there's a story around the flag raising. I must say the story. So Sarah and myself was communicating that morning. I'm sending her back stuff. She's sending me back stuff. And I have the flag raising for the Tuesday. not even reading the end of Sarah's communication. If I had gone right to the end, I would have seen and yeah, I did. And she said this morning. And I thought, why is she saying this morning? But it still didn't get into my head to say, Sarah, why are you saying this morning? No, it didn't go that fight. But anyway, I am all prepared for that, event. I get, a speech and the whole thing going, clothes and everything all ready to go. And then Sarah sent me a little email later on in the morning. She says, we had the flag raising and Sarah, we miss you. And I said, what, is she drinking something? What is she talking about? So I quickly went back to her emails and I thought, oh, yeah, it was this morning. So the next thing, the Tuesday, my husband is on my case. He says, what's the matter with you? You're going to be late. And I thought, what? He said, you have to go to the flag race and you're going to be late. And I said, no, it was yesterday, because I didn't fess up to him. So the Tuesday, he's on my case. Get ready, get quick before you go. And I said, no, it was yesterday. I missed him. So there was some frivolity and laughter around that. So that makes us good. But I think all the events were really well done. And as I said, the barbecue was great. I attended one of the accessibility events through the Whitby accessibility group. There was a presentation there on inclusiveness, which was quite good. It was quite good. But yeah, so anyway, barbecue, I always there to talk. And Sarah, did you notice the people who were there, and Heather also? I thought the people themselves didn't miss a beat, It seems as they were waiting to exhale, that movie. Everybody was, Heather.
Well, I concur. It was really wonderful to see everybody, the councillors, the mayor, the music, the hot dogs, seeing Sarah actually in person and you in person. And Joanne was there and, Diva was there. And it was just great to see everybody. And it brought back a lot of memories over the years. And like you said, Seppaline, it's almost like we didn't have the 2-year hiatus.
I know, it was lovely.
Everybody was dancing and, well, I wasn't, but a lot of others were. I was dancing in my head, but nevertheless, it was just wonderful.
And Joanne was there. We had a long conversation, like we never missed a beat. And so was Sterling. He was there, and he's, it's a hug. I haven't hugged you for a long time. We didn't miss a beat. It's like it was amazing. It really was. It really was. That's the community spirit that we have, and I think we haven't lost it, and that's great.
I would say that was the feeling at St. Francis Center on Friday night too, where everyone was just so excited to be there. Kaylee was there with us, and the movie was fantastic. I didn't know that it was complimentary snacks and drinks at the showing, so that was like a great surprise. So it was fun, and I think everybody had that same sentiment where it was like, it's been so long, and we're just waiting to get out and enjoy each other's company. And I wasn't able to attend a lot of the events during the week because of other work commitments, but the barbecue is one of my favorites, so I was quite disappointed not to be able to go this year. But I knew the rest of the council would be there and they'd be having a great time. Just seeing everybody. It's just, you're right. It is so nice to see how the community just came back. And and I think it was a nice reminder too of the amazing things that the town offers for its residents, right? And it's only amazing. It's it's the members of the community that make these events. And you kind of, when we were all stuck at home, you kind of forgot that there was so many amazing, like Ajax offers so much. And then when you can't do it, you realize, oh, wow, like we are so lucky to live in our town. And then when they open the doors again, it's like, yeah, right. So, yeah, I really enjoyed it. And the movie was such a good movie. And I was glad to see how successful it was, to see the good turnout.
Well, okay. So any other report or else we'll move on to 4.5, respect the space, phase 2.
Madam Chair, just before we move on, I just want to remind the committee, if you didn't get enough of event participation or didn't get a chance to take part, Roseanne and I are going to be taking part in Trail Fest on Sunday, June the 26th. So come on out, even if it's just for a little while. We'll have the information station up and running with lots of giveaways for Accessible Ajax and lots of stuff for the kids as well. So pass it on.
What's the timing for that, Sarah?
That one's an earlier one. I think the event starts at 8:30 because if you're registering for the ride and the walk, but then after everybody comes back, there are different stations and activations for participants while they're having their lunch.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, so we will go to 4.5. As I said, respect the space, phase 2. Sarah, would you like to discuss the opportunity of phase 2?
This is a brief one, Madam Chair. Although this is our last formally scheduled meeting before the break, the summer break and the election break, there's a couple of projects in the hopper that I wanted to share with the committee that we can remain engaged on throughout the summer. One of them being the nomination preparation, another being phase 2 or Respect the Space Campaign 2.0. I've been in touch with Shane in Bylaw Services. He's the supervisor in Bylaw Services now, who's interested in working with the committee to do another promotional activity regarding Respect the Space. As we know, a lot of people are visiting other people during the summer, and there's a lot more cars out and about. And one of the complaints that we often receive in the municipality is the blocking of pedestrian paths of travel with people parking over sidewalks. So an opportunity for members to get out in the community, take some photos, maybe do a little promotional video with our Bylaw Services team to put out on social media and through the town's communication channels, just reminding people to respect the space in that sense. So the first iteration was in regards to respecting the space for accessible parking, and then now looking at a respect the space again for accessibility and inclusion purposes, people utilizing strollers, people in mobility devices, so that we can keep those paths of travel clear. So if that's something you're interested in, I'll be sending out a little sign up participation gathering email for anybody, and then we'll coordinate some dates and cross our fingers for good weather and have some fun like we did with the first campaign.
Absolutely. Put me in there, Sarah. I'm in for that.
I'm into Sarah. I'm just away from basically nearly all of July, but other than that, I'm around.
Yeah, I'll do it. I'll do it too. If the dates all work, I'm in for sure. Sounds like fun.
Sorry, Council. And Roseanne, I didn't want to miss my spot in there.
Awesome. I think everybody's just craving the opportunity to see each other in person.
Okay. So now that we have some volunteers, we can move forward to 4.6. September the 19th, 2022. My grandson was with me today, and I was trying to read things out, and September the 19th, he said, "Oh, is they having a birthday party for you?" It was so funny. It was a funny kind of thing. Anyway, end of the term report presentation to council. Sarah, will you discuss some expectations?
Certainly, but just for clarification, is September 19th your birthday?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, well, we'll need to mark that in our calendars. Yes. So September 19th is the last formal council meeting of the term before the election, and then the new council is sworn in with inauguration in November. So it's a great opportunity for the committee to sort of do an end of term recap or summary of your initiatives and any interested items that you are looking forward to the committee continuing on within the new term. So I have booked both the Heritage and this committee some time on that agenda to do a brief presentation. It can be a verbal presentation, a written report. Both committees are usually interested in doing PowerPoint slides. So another sort of homework project assignment that we can work on throughout the summer. Wanted to provide enough notice so that we have some time to chip away at it over the summer months for anybody who wants to be involved.
Okay, any correspondence? None? Nothing, Sarah? No? Update from Council. Councillor Bauer, you're up.
Thank you. So yeah, we have our last council meeting coming up on Monday, the 20th, before summer recess. Actually, June has been an extraordinarily busy month. I don't know if you can tell from my face, I kept my camera off for most of it because I can see how tired I look.
Yes, I too. I put the red. I put red
I
on.
know, right?
June, I didn't. Last week I was just. I tell everybody, go away. Go away.
So I think it's just been a combination of, we have our regular meetings, our standing committee meetings as well. And then now, as we were all just talking that things are back to in-person events, all of those events that were put on the back burner over COVID, we are now getting the opportunity to do them in person, which is wonderful. And a change, getting used to that again, the busyness and the full calendar. So, and some of the things that I've noted, some of the evening things that are happening are these, we're having a number of open houses or public information sessions throughout the month of June too. So as Joyce, Ms. Chen and Ms. Sandis were talking about with the housing strategy, that was one of the ones I was going to mention, which is on June the 22nd, as they said in the presentation. There's the, tomorrow evening, there's a planning open house for a development proposal on Harwood. I believe that's for the corner of Harwood and Mandrake. So it's a proposal for two apartment buildings, one I think they're proposing 1, 2, 3 in bedrooms up to 12 stories. And this is just the open house. There's no voting. There's nothing. This is just information. And then a 5-story building on the same site, which would be for seniors. So that's tomorrow night online. This weekend on Saturday is the annual Ajax Mayor's Gala, which is being held at the Audley Rec Center. The theme is like a cruise, I think. So it's been sold out. The Mayor's Gala raises, it's just started with this mayor, and I think we're into the hundreds of thousands of dollars being raised. And so things that have been funded, a lot of focus on, we talked about the homeless community. So trying to provide funding. One of the first things that was purchased in the first year was the Salvation Army, like a van. They've got a special name for it, but that goes around to the community with supplies and goes to just check up on people and offer assistance and snacks and things like that. This year's recipients, I believe, are also the Salvation Army for a whole new kitchen at the new Salvation Army site. Across from Town Hall, and it'll be a kitchen that provides the food and the services, but I also think it will be a teaching kitchen too for like cooking lessons and things. So it sounds pretty exciting. And then also some funding for it's escaping me right now, but it's a hospice. So for help with in the hospice setting, I believe. So that's coming up on Saturday. On Sunday, so Father's Day, June 19th, there is the HMS barbecue. So we are having some veterans coming to visit us in Ajax. They arrive, I think, on Friday. Some of those guests will be coming to the gala. And then there's a series of events happening throughout the week with various street namings and town tours. But on Sunday, there's an official welcome and barbecue lunch for the HMS Ajax and River Plate Veterans Association visitors. It will be at Town Hall, and there will be a public portion of it, I think, from 2 to 4, where anybody who is interested and would like to come, there will be a barbecue, some music, and just some entertainment. So I think that's from 2 to 4 on Sunday, just outside of Town Hall there. And the other thing, nope, that's it. And the last meeting on Monday. Yeah.
Councillor Bauer, is that barbecue 2 to 4? Is that not at the Legion on Hunt?
No. So this Sunday is the welcome at Town Hall, and then there's various activities throughout the week. And then next weekend on Saturday, there will be a nice sort of parade and ceremony for these veterans that will end at the Legion, and there will be a nice reception, I think a lunch reception there on the Saturday. So I think this will be my first time as a counselor with this type of experience. And so there will be, Joanne and I, Councillor Dyes and I will be doing some tours of Town Hall and the artifacts, and then the certain areas within Ward 3. And then we will get to go to the official street namings and like have the signs of the streets to these veterans whose family, either in their honor or in their family members' honor. So that's very exciting. Yeah, and so I think there's also some, so each ward will have the councillors representing and touring and doing some street naming, things like that. So yeah, it'll be fun. And that was also something that was going to happen 2 years ago, but then it was delayed because of COVID. So that's another thing that's coming back. So that's my update. So lots of busy things in June, and really looking forward to the summer recess.
And thank you through the chair. Thank you, Councillor Bauer. And if I may add, sure. This weekend, June 17th to 19th is Pickering Village Jam Fest.
Yes. Oh, I forgot. Yeah, that will be a nice event too, for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's always a good event. Wow. Everybody's getting out and about.
Yeah.
Any questions for Councillor Bauer? Oh, quite a comprehensive report there, Councillor Bauer. Wow. No, you all are going out for the summer, right? Oh, wow. Okay, so external committee updates. We have Ray has sent us his, he couldn't make it today. So we have Vision Accessibility Advisory Committee from Roseanne. Roseanne?
Yes, thank you. Through the chair, we had our last meeting, I should say, not our last, but the last meeting was on May the 24th. And Jamie Austin from the Durham Region Transit reported on the autonomous vehicle system that they had tested out in Whitby. And that has come to a close for the time being. Just because of our weather patterns, it didn't quite pan out the way they wanted to for this vehicle. It was very sensitive to leaves and snow and such. And they are putting a halt on it because also the organized or the corporation that constructed this autonomous vehicle is no longer doing that or is no longer operational. So they can't upgrade it. And Nathan Gardner, who's the executive director from the Backdoor Mission, had talked about his mission, or the Mission United project through the Backdoor Mission. And as Ms. Joyce Chen had just reported, the point in time, the pit count, all of that was happening at the Backdoor Mission, like the planning and such. And he specifically discussed accessible transportation and usable formats for the vulnerable sector. And I guess the third point is that Janet Traer, the accessibility coordinator for the Durham region, has retired as of May 31st. After 30 years of service with the region, and I attended her retirement party on May 31st, which was very lovely, and got to speak on behalf of the Regional Accessibility Advisory Committee.
Thank you, Roseanne. Any questions for Roseanne? No questions. We move to point 8, other business. Does anyone have any other business to share, or any news, or Sarah?
Thank you, Madam Chair. 2 brief items from myself. Exciting news. On Friday afternoon, I will be meeting with Andrew Jackson to do some site visits with the contractor for preliminary specs for installation of our communication boards. So I know this has been a long time coming. We do have 3, which is awesome. There'll be 1 in each of the wards at the community center, Rotary Park, Rotary Park, Audley Recreation Center, and MCC. So I will certainly keep the committee apprised of that project as it's implemented, and we will likely try to plan a little gathering event when everybody's calendars calm down a little bit, so that maybe we can do a little ribbon cutting popsicle party or something like that. So stay tuned. My second item comes out of feedback from participants of the seniors barbecue last week. Heather and Seppeline were there when we received word from a resident who had an unfortunate interaction at an Ajax business regarding a service dog, a guide dog. So behind the scenes, we're working on preparing one of the committee's letters of encouragement, just reminding what the requirements are to allow for service dogs and guide dogs on the premises, and just out of courtesy, refreshing them, providing them with some educational resources. So we will circulate that to the committee as well, just for your interest. It's unfortunate, but it's an opportunity for education. So we will take it. And that's all I had.
If I can just ask about the communication boards. If I remember correctly, initially there was only going to be 2 of them, but we got 3 and 1 in each ward. So way to go.
We sure did, because we did some creative crunching and we put some money together. So yeah, we're very happy. And it makes sense, awesome, right? For a pilot to have it spread out within all of our wards in the community. So yeah,
thank you very much for doing that. Appreciate it.
That's really great. Anyone else? Heather?
Well, this will probably be my last opportunity to bring this up, so I'm going to sound like a broken record, but I would like to ask Sarah to please consider having a transportation watch over at Kitney and Commercial. I witnessed several teenagers walking with no light. I am concerned for the safety of that corner. I believe I'm repeating myself again because it's an issue that I'm caught up with all the time when I use my scooter. I can't get across half the time because the light, you have to physically press the button. In the winter, I can't even get near the button. Mm-hmm. It's a problem. And I know that they've done a watch before. We now have 2 big buildings there. I don't want to see another senior hit. And we have had several seniors hit because they can't get to the button and they're walking against the walking light. If we could at least have no button and a walk sign, walk with the traffic light, that would solve it. But I'm really adamant about this because it's a problem. I have to go sometimes without the light as well because I see it and I see the teenagers doing it. I realize they're going to be going on break, and I realize that this traffic watch perhaps might be done at a non-busy time. They need to be there when the populace is the busiest and see what I see. I don't know what else to do, but I'm hoping that I'm being heard because it's a problem. And that will be the last time I say this, I think. Sarah, you think? I don't know.
Thank you for sharing those concerns, Heather. Just a reminder that we will have to do some communicating to the region as the region oversees the timing of all of the signalization. And if I'm understanding you correctly, it's the timing of the lights is too short.
The timing of the lights, I believe they elongated that. If you recall, over the 2 terms I've been on, I believe they elongated it. It's the getting to the button. This button creates a problem because with the light, you have to hit the button in order for it to go green with the light. Do you understand what I'm saying? And if you don't do it, the timing just right, then it's a red do not walk sign and people are walking against the sign. It's a problem and it needs to be corrected because we now have the 2 big buildings and now a 3rd one, plus all the townhouses that are going to be built. It's a problem and I see it constantly and constantly. I don't know what to do. I thought of taking video. I mean, I'll be happy to do it and spend my time and submit it because something has to be done before someone gets hit. One of my neighbors was hit. There was another neighbor hit. That one I didn't know because people cannot get to that light. To the button to activate it to walk.
May I ask a question?
Corner? Sorry.
Yeah. Well, no, I was going to ask.
Okay, no, that's okay.
Which direction?
Okay, coming from Kitney, heading north up to Bailey, heading across the street to Commercial. Is what I see, but I see it. I don't think the problem is as much as the other way going east and west on Bailey, because that light seems to be, it's a non-issue that way. It's the issue going across and
north-south.
North and south, yeah.
Okay.
And it's, I said to a lady, she was there. She couldn't get across. I said, have you called it in? Because you need to call it in. I've repeatedly talked about this and people just are not following through. I'm happy to, spend my time with my phone and take pictures, bring it in and share. I'm happy to do that. Sorry about all the
appreciate you bringing forward the concern, Heather, and it sounds like it's two parts. One is the length of the light or not having the capability to push the button so that the green light, the walk symbol does start, but that there's also an access issue for reaching the button. Is that correct? Is there some type of impediment there?
In the winter, sorry about the background noise. In the winter, it's not properly cleaned because of the snow, so you can't get to the button in the winter. I mean, I understand that. And they have been able, I think I made a complaint trying to get across to the new Pat Bailey Square because the curbs don't match up. And then they didn't have them marked. Well, now they've resolved that problem by having pylons there so people can see that in the wintertime. The issue that's with the lights is the fact that you have to be there to press it. But if I'm walking up to the pole or using my scooter coming up to the pole, if I don't hit it just on time, just right, then it doesn't go green with the walk to go ahead. And so people are going against it.
I understand. It would make you wait until the next cycle and then it would. Right.
And so the teenagers don't even pay attention. They just go against it. You know?
Thank you.
Heather, can I just ask a question, if I may? Is the light turning green for the traffic?
Well, the light does go green for the traffic, but you have to activate the light, the button to walk. All they got to do is take the button out of there and have a walk with the traffic. It would resolve that problem altogether.
So the walk sign says red when the traffic is green.
It'll say red because it hasn't been activated. So people are ignoring the button and just walking against it with the light.
But the light is green though, right?
The light, yes, because at that four corners, there's east-west on Kitney going to Commercial. Mm-hmm. So what's happening? And then there's east-west with Bailey. So what happens is there's a four-way there, lights. Okay. So in order to cross over going to the Shoppers Drug Mart, you have to activate the button at a specific time. But if you're not always there on time, then that means the light doesn't change. It stays red and people are just ignoring it now because they can't, you can't always activate it. Because it has a cycle.
May I ask one more question? Is this one of the audio pedestrian signals or is it just with a walk symbol? Like when you do press the button successfully, does it provide that auditory melody or is it just providing the walk signal?
Sarah, I don't know. I think
that's okay.
I think it does. I'd have to go and check that out. I believe it does on Bailey. I think it does on Bailey. But I don't know if it does crossing over Kitney to Commercial.
Okay.
That I'd have to investigate. It's just, I'm really concerned, and all you've got to do is just make it accessible with the traffic, and it would resolve it. And it's been a contention for many, as you know. This is not the first time I've brought this up. It's a problem.
That is a very busy intersection too.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so is there no other business? Guys, we're coming to 9, and you know what 9 is, adjournment. So we really will be concluding this meeting, but before I say, bye. This is our last meeting for the year. We will meet, and Sarah can address that before we sign off. We will meet as an ad needs basis, but there will be no meeting until the election is finished and we actually have our election, and then we will be meeting early in 2023. So,
wow.
Yeah.
But the work of the committee continues.
Yep. Mm-hmm. So if anyone has anything to say or goodbye, adieu. And so for the evening, we will, this will conclude our meeting. May I have a motion to adjourn this meeting? Thank you, Heather. Seconder.
I'll second.
Councillor Bauer, all in favor? Okay, and please don't go, everybody. Okay.